Hey, Grandpa, remember when you were talking about teaching me how to beat?
No, I don't seem to recall that.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding, Nui. Yes, I remember.
You think you could show me how to beat? I like your beaded medallion. Maybe I could beat one too.
We'll see. There's a couple different styles of beading. You can bead on a loom or you can peyote stitch. Let's talk with my friend Laura Weinstein and see if she'd show us how to bead some of these styles.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, Laura. Have you met my grandson?
Joe, Niji Ishnikajan.
Nguyen Desnikas. Nijana, Laura.
Anwe Shishana. Bidgek.
Laura, I was hoping you could show Nui how to bead. He's been talking a lot about that. Here's a little sema. Well, I'll leave you guys to it. I've got to go run some errands.
This is what you call a loom. You have your threads, where you put your threads, screws on the ends to attach your string. And let me show you how it's done. Attach a string to the end. Depending on how many beads wide you have, you always add one for the 5 beads, 6 strings. Today we're going to do 5 beads, 6 strings. This is the hardest part of beading, is setting up your loom. Once that you get your loom set up, you need to create a pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your larger pieces, you add 2 strings on the edges and maybe 1 or 2 in the middle. You start with a pattern. You create your own to your own liking, and you follow that pattern. So I'm going to start here with the loom. I'm going to tie the string on here. There's no right or wrong. You follow your pattern. 5 red. You push these up through each string. You run your needle back through. And you want to do it a little bit tight. That way it holds together really good. Gather 5 more beads. Again, push them up between each string. I'm using the larger pony beads so it's easier to see. And continue with the pattern. I usually have music playing or the TV on. Some people like silence. I like background noise.
Oh, neat. I can really see the pattern.
I need to change the string. Let me show you how that's done. It's fairly simple. You make a loop. Stick your fingers in, pull it around. Make a loop like that. You stick the string in there, pull it down, tighten it up, and tie it off. And And don't worry about these 2 extra strings because you're going to tuck them in later. You might start out with the larger bead. Be easier for you to use. If you make any mistakes, they're easy fixes. Easy fixes. You have to push these beads all the way up. Make sure the bead is pushed all the way up so the string goes from the bottom to the top. Real easy. I've only been beading for 8 years. You learn along the way how to have shortcuts. If you make a mistake, it's easy to fix, which I just did. I got out of sync here. You take the needle off, pull the string out, pull the beads off, whatever beads you have to fix. In this case, I'm going to start over. Restring. I'm going to end this piece. I'm going to tie a knot right here, and after I got it really tight, and then I'm going to run it back through each these beads. Everybody does it different. I do it my way. I'll run these through several times. If you have it tight enough, your strings will tighten up. And you can also set it with glue if you want to. You weave your string through each piece a few times, about 4 times, depending on the size of the piece. And I whip stitch it right here on the end. And then I'm going to tie this string off. To secure the ends so the loom, the beads won't fall off the strings. I have the ends tied off and they're safe, so let's cut it off the loom. This will make a great bracelet. There's after you get done here, you tie these strings together, and you can either add glue and then attach it to any piece of leather or a set of moccasins. This is loom work, as well as this. It's a cuff with leather backing. This is also a hat band, Billy Jack pattern. I believe this is lazy stitch. Moccasin.
Hey, my Mitchell has that seal on his necklace.
This is a great example of beading on pieces of material. This is rosette work. This is another example of beading on leather. This is peyote stitch. You bead this right on the stick. This is a piece I'm doing for Tasha Zentech. It's called a pathway. This one is 88 beads wide. Each color and each design means a certain element for her that goes on in her life. This is very intricate, and it will be a very special hairpiece that she will wear. This piece has taken me 2 months to get this far, and I hope to have it done by festival.
So if I want to bead, do I have to find me a loom?
There are other ways. You can brick stitch, peyote stitch. I have a video that can teach you how to peyote stitch.
Today's tutorial is on the peyote stitch. I'm going to do an enlarged version with these funky kids beads. They're a large bead so that you can better see the peyote stitch. I also got myself a paper towel roll, and it's really good to practice on whether you're using big beads or the seed beads. So the first step you need to take is to cut off a large piece of string. So I'm going to take a really long piece, very, very long as I can get it. Now you can always, as you are beading, tie on more little pieces. The next step is determining how many beads you need. So I have predetermined I needed 24 to get all the way around. Now this is an even count peyote stitch. You'll always have to have an even amount of beads. So here you see it's kind of loose, but I'm going to try to tighten it as much as I possibly can, and as I'm beading it will tighten further. So tie it off, double tie it, get it as tight as you can. And I put my needle on my yarn, and we're ready to go. Okay, so I pick up a bead, and I'm going to skip this bead and go under. So skip that bead, go under this one. And what will happen as I pull it tighter is that it should sit on top of the bead that we skipped. Now, brace yourself, because when you're working with seed beads, it's gonna look crazy and it's not gonna look very neat for a while. So I'm telling you right now, stay calm. Okay, so we're gonna skip this next bead here. See, our string came out of that one. That's our start off bead. We skip this bead and we go to the one right after. Now it's gonna take practice. Watch this over and over again if you need to. So, just further explaining. We had started off here, our knot lies right here. We had gone under this one, we skipped that bead, tucked under there, so that bead would sit there, right on top. So you will keep repeating this pattern. Skip that bead, and go under the next one. Keep pulling tight. See, he's kind of getting like a up and down kind of motion. So you skip that bead, go under this one. Yep. So I'm going to jump along to the end, and I'll show you before I get to the end. We had started here and progressed all the way around. So you can see if your pattern's right if you can kind of poke your needle through, like it looks like there's a spot, like a bead missing almost. Okay. So I'm going to pick up, I think it's the last bead, but let me just see. Oh, I had already picked it up. Okay. So again, where our thread is sitting, coming out through this bead, And what we need to do is skip that bead that's right after it and go under the following bead. Okay, so we're now at the end. There's like, it looks like there's 3 beads sitting there. Our thread is coming out of one of them. We're kind of stuck. What we need to do is pick up a bead, and you're actually gonna see it. We're gonna step up through the beads. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I skip that bead and I'm gonna go under this one and up through the one that's sitting higher up. Pull, pull, pull. Happens with your thread too, sometimes you get knots. Just be patient, pull slowly. Now what we've done is we've closed off the gap. See, all pretty. Now there's symmetry all around. This is the easy row. This is the row I like because it goes quick. You just put your bead on a needle and stick your needle through that upraised bead, and you go all the way around, hoping you don't get knots in your string. So I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so again, just in case somehow you're confused, we're just going on this level right directly through the beads. So keep pulling, but pull slow because you get a lot of knots, and you don't want a knot that eventually will loosen up and then really go slack and ruin your beads. Okay. Knots are not fun. Okay. I keep saying okay. Okay. So we reached the end of this row, and you're kind of gonna see a valley. You see it? There's one bead sitting right there. It's like these 2 rows have converged, and there's one bead in the middle, and your tail is sitting right directly below. This is how I always know I've come to the end of my row, so I like to keep that thread. So we need to step up again. So take a bead on your needle, and you're gonna go directly through both of these beads right here. See the top of my needle peeking out? So take a needle, go directly through, and pull gently, and we've closed the gap. So what we're going to do is skip that bead and go through the next bead, and you just keep repeating this pattern. I'll meet you at the end, and hopefully you're starting to get the pattern. You can get really lost in a peyote stitch. This is not the time to think about, at least when you're learning, what your grocery list is or all the things you need to do. You need to concentrate just on beading. You need to concentrate on staying calm, staying restful, keeping a clear mind, because you don't want to lose count or get lost in the weaving of these beads. So pick up a bead. You're going to start to recognize we kind of have a valley again. There's 2 beads on one side, 2 beads on the other, and there's 1 in the middle. Our tail is sitting right here, so we know that we are like very much dead center, but that might not always be the case. I think it can rotate a little bit. So you're gonna step up these 2 beads. Some people don't, I do, because I like to be already integrated into the pattern. I don't think it's tighter. There's other methods, but where people just end up on this bead, and I don't know how they do it, but this is how I do it, and it stays really tight. And that's what you want in a peyote stitch. You want a really tight beaded weave. So again, you just keep going. This is the easy step to go through. I said that earlier. I don't know, my words are starting to go. But anyway, just weave through these beads. This is the easy part. There's no real way to finish a peyote stitch. You just kind of stop and tie it off. At least that's what I do. And it looks perfectly fine. So I hope that helps. Practice if you can. Get some cheap large beads if you've never done a peyote stitch, and say learning how to bead certain stitches is difficult. The peyote stitch was very difficult for myself. It just was. So these large beads can help you practice. Practice in a solid color. I find that works really well for, at least it did for me. And practice makes perfect. You need to make this pattern a body memory, a mental memory, so that your body just does it and you don't have to really think about it. And also that you can then identify problems. If you forgot a bead, you know how to deconstruct it without ruining your entire piece. So if you're gonna do keychains or little bags, you can take these off eventually. Oop. And make little bags out of them. There's lots of different things you can do.
Are you ready to give it a try, Nui?
Ah!
Nice work, Nui. Why are you wearing gloves?
Ah! I guess I'm a little accident prone. Oops.
That's okay, just take your time.
I don't think this loom beading is for me. How are you two coming?
What do you think, Grandpa?
Not too bad, Nui.
I messed up a little.
That's okay. The only thing perfect in creation is the creator. A lot of traditional people intentionally make an error because only the creator is perfect. Godot, we guess.
Godot, we guess. What's that mean?
Good job.
Yeah, we're gonna have to work on that Potawatomi language.
Anytime, grandson.